going to call our board meeting to order. Declaration of a quorum, 7 members present. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the meeting of the College Station Independent School District Board of Trustees. We were elected at large to represent the interests of our community and our state in educating our students. Our mission for our students in this district is success each life, each day, each hour. We adhere to all pertinent laws, policies, and procedures in posting agendas and conducting our meetings. The detailed agenda information was made available to us at least 72 hours in advance. We've all come to this meeting informed and prepared. We have just completed a workshop meeting where we heard reports and discussed much of the information needed to make decisions in either this meeting or in upcoming meetings. This is a meeting of the 7 trustees in a public setting rather than a public meeting. As such, public comment is included on the agenda at a specific time and requires us to listen rather than take action so as to abide by the Open Meetings Act. We are pleased that you have taken the time this evening to join us. We're very proud of this school district and we thank you for your interest in and support of our students. That will bring us to item C, recognitions. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. White and board members. This evening, we have students from Riverbend Elementary School and Southwood Valley Elementary School here to assist us with leading us in our pledges and moment of silence. And to do those introductions are the principals of each of those schools, Ms. Heather Sherman and Allie DeLuna. Ladies, and you bring your students forward to introduce them.
Good evening. I'm Allie DeLuna, the principal at Southwood Valley. And with me tonight, I have Porter Covington and Adeline Miller. They are both second graders at Southwood Valley. And one of the things that we really love about our school and we think that is really cool is that we have the dual language program. So as a special treat tonight, these two who have only been in the dual language program for 2 years are going to introduce themselves to you in Spanish. And then they're also going to do it in English. All right.
Mi nombre es Porter Covington. Yo soy en segundo grado y voy a Southwood Valley Elementary. Lo que más te gusta de mi escuela es educación física. Mi pasatiempo favorito es béisbol. My name is Porter Covington. I'm in second grade and go to school at Southwood Valley Elementary. My favorite thing to do at school is PE. My favorite hobby is baseball.
Mi nombre es Adeline Miller, yo estoy en segundo grado y voy a Southwood Valley Elementary. Lo que más me gusta de mi escuela es jugar con mis amigos y que tenemos maestras maravillosas. Mi pasatiempo favorito es volar en el Little Wranglers y aprender cosas históricas nuevas. My name is Adeline Miller. I'm in second grade and I go to Southwood Valley Elementary. What I love most about my school is playing with my friends, and we have awesome teachers. My favorite thing to do is dance in Little Wranglers and learn new things in history.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Heather Sherman. I'm the principal at Riverbend Elementary, and tonight I have with me 2 very special and extraordinary 4th grade Bear leaders.
My name's Emerson. I go to 4th grade, and my favorite thing about being a Riverbend Bear is I get to be a part of the student council.
Hi, my name is Elias Ryans. I am in the 4th grade. My favorite thing about being a Riverbend Bear is the teachers always have a smile on their face and they give you courage while you're doing the tests or just work if it's hard.
please rise for the pledges and moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. Please join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated.
Very good. Thank y'all very much. Does it for recognitions. Item C2, Mr. Horak.
All right, that brings us to item C2. We want to recognize the artwork there at the back of our boardroom from the kiddos at Cypress Grove Intermediate and Southwood Valley Elementary. Make sure you get back there because the one there on the left messes with my eyes when I came into the boardroom earlier, and that thing is just, those pictures are crazy. So make sure you stop and look at those. And then obviously on the right side there, or my right, the colorful artwork that we have going on there at Southwood Valley. So much appreciated to the kiddos that provided that for us here tonight. That'll bring us to item D, D1, board reports. Who would like to go first?
Okay, I can talk about Head Start. Head Start Policy Council, they met last week, and we elected a new chairperson. And Head Start is full. We have just under 500 kiddos in Head Start right now, so it is growing quickly. What else? They're trucking along. That's about it.
I can do the Education Foundation. Mr. Horak and I attended. That was 2 weeks ago today. And first update from Ms. Benden to share with everybody just how grateful and really humbled that the foundation is to announce that 58% of our teachers and staff are supporting the Education Foundation through the employee giving program this year. And it's $180,000 pledged for the year, which is even an increase over last year of 11%. So that's just means a lot when the actual teachers and staff can feel like they really want to support where they work and support our school families. And I also have to give a quick kudos to Teresa as well. She received a fancy certification, the Certified Fundraising Executive. So she went through some extra effort to go do the training for that, and even had to take a test to make sure she got that. Thank you for all you do.
The District Education Improvement Council met virtually September 14th. They elected new leadership, both a chair-elect, and a secretary. Ms. Parkerson reviewed the purpose and activities of DIC because we had new members. We reviewed the 2022 accountability report by Ms. Perry, and then the committee approved a required reading instrument.
Personnel Advisory Committee Council, unfortunately, both Mr. Ben and I were out of town the last time that happened, so we'll catch you next month.
I can report on Intergovernmental Committee as well. That was yesterday, right? That was yesterday. Mr. Martindale, Mr. Decker, Ms. Draws, and I all went, and Ms. Draws got to be part of a panel discussion on taxes, like school taxes and also county taxes. So it was very interesting. Lots of numbers, lots of confusion for me, but a very, big appreciation for all the work that goes into that.
Everybody good? All right, that'll bring us to superintendent update. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak and board members. We are tracking at 14,500 students as of earlier today. That's up about 300 year over year. We were projected by the demographers to creep up to the 14.6 mark through the course of this year. So we'll be watching our enrollment growth through the course of the fall to see if our projections hold true. Of course, a reminder, no one watches those numbers more closely than Ms. Dross because it has influence on the budget. So every time we enroll a new student, she has a little celebration in her office. Two things I'd like to just highlight, two new partnerships or programs, and these students started their work or their courses on site just the last week or so, and these are our two new partnerships with our CTE program. The first, where we partner with the Texas A&M Hotel and Conference Center for our hotel and resort management program. If you recall, this is our students will serve apprenticeships in housekeeping, food and beverage, and banquet services. So they started heading over to the conference center and hotel just a week or two ago to begin that partnership and that work in our CTE program. And this is housed out of College View High School. The second one, our partnership with Glenn College and Texas A&M at Rellis for our facilities engineering technology program. And this one allows our students to work towards earning industry-based certificates in electrical, construction, HVAC, and plumbing. So those programs and partnerships are new to us. Both, again, are a part of College View High School. And I know the students were very excited that are a part of this inaugural year with both of these new programs. We're excited to get those partnerships going and excited and looking forward to them growing over the course of time. Also, I want to touch on real quick, and I believe, David, if you can, thank you very much. Is obviously the board's aware, and I'm sure most of our audience, that we did act on or call for a VATRE, a tax ratification election, to be on the November ballot. It will show up on your ballot as Proposition A. It's the only thing outside of school board member elections that are on the ballot for the school district. You have a little half-page flyer at your seat. Board members, for the audience, we have those out at the table outside. But just a little informational page. There's tons of information on our website for the public. We'll begin visiting campuses and PTOs and other civic organizations. I think we're starting tomorrow, actually, and we'll continue to do that through the course of the month of October, leading up to the November 8th election. But just so you have an idea that the amount of information that's available for folks to educate themselves on this particular item, you can see the banner for it across the top of our website. So whenever someone logs in or comes to our website, the banner is there immediately. And then you go to the website. There's a number of different links there that provide information. One that has to do with just student success in CSISD through the course of this last school year. And I'll remind folks that we're considered the 18th best school district in the state of Texas out of over 1,000. There's a number of different other indicators there with respect to our performance and our student performance and the quality of our faculty and staff. Also on this website's historical tax rate, so folks can orient them to what we have done with taxes over the course of the last number of years. There's an FAQ document also that answers lots of questions about a TRE and what it is and our intent. Of course, we all know that, if approved by the voters, that the revenue generated by the TRE will be used to increase compensation for our teachers and employees. Just a multitude of information about the tax rate and those types of things here, as well as a brief 5-minute video that we will spare you this evening. However, know that all this information is there and front-facing for our community, and we'll be using this as kind of the foundation of our presentations in the community as we kind of start that process in the upcoming weeks. So I just wanted to take a minute and share that so folks knew where that information is. So if you get questions, feel free. I encourage you to point them toward this website. It has lots of very good information. It's very user-friendly and put together in a logical manner. So,
Mr. Martindale, may I add something real quick, please?
no. So next, no, I'm kidding. Yes, of course. Sure.
If anyone out there is listening and knows of an organization who would like for someone to come talk to their organization about the VATRE and the upcoming November election, please send me an email at chuck@csisd.org, and we'll be happy to come talk to your group.
Very good. So I just wanted to share that so folks know where that information was located. Just a couple of student celebrations real quick. Congratulations. We had 8 students named as National Merit semifinalists here within the last week. 2 students were named to the 2022 UIL All-State Journalism Staff. And once again, for the 3rd or 4th year in a row, I believe this is 3rd year in a row, we were named one of 59 districts in the state of Texas as a district of distinction by the Texas Art Educators Association. So just another example of the great things that are occurring in our district by our students and our faculty and staff. And these are just 3 reasons why we're considered one of the best in the state. So that wraps up Superintendent's update.
All right. That will bring us to item E. We do have, for hearing of citizens, we do have one. During this time, public comments are welcome. The Open Meetings Act prevents us from responding to speakers regarding items not on the agenda. Comments related to items on the agenda may be discussed during deliberations on that specific agenda item. Please complete the note card and give it to the executive assistant. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Those needing an interpreter may have up to 6 minutes. Each person has one opportunity at the microphone regardless of minutes used. Unused minutes may not be accrued by another speaker. The executive assistant will time the comments and alert the president when the time has expired. The board asks that those addressing the board refrain from derogatory comments. And the card I have is for a Miss Cynthia.
So you all have your handout. First of all, please forgive my attire. I came straight from my fitness and wellness class at A&M, so sorry. But in front of you, I would like to present to the board a future CDC grant opportunity titled School-Based Interventions to Promote Equity and Improve Health, Academic Achievement, and Well-Being of Students and Faculty. They are to improve student health, academic achievement through nutrition, physical activity, and management of chronic conditions in schools. These grants are estimated to post October 7th of 2022 with award date of ceiling of $400,000. They are going to probably do 13 to 50 institutions within the United States, and it will post on June 1st for 2023. Implementation. Eligibility of grant would be public school across the country and set to only award 16 to 50 institutions. The purpose of this project is to improve the health and emotional well-being of children, adolescents, and school staff. Recipients will use whole school, whole community child approach and use action planning to implement physical activities, school nutrition, school health services, and emotional well-being policies. It is 100% scientifically proven that the health and wellness of individuals at any age has significant positive impacts on work ethic, work capacity, attendance, mood, self-esteem, overall outlook, and test readiness. This includes STAR testing. This list goes on. At first glance, a project such as this may seem daunting and possibly seem a burden to an already busy staff. However, College Station ISD already has many key tools and resources in place to disseminate such an initiative, such as FitnessGram and the resources Dr. Cooper has provided all our Texas physical education teachers, the Student Health Advisory Board, our nutrition specialists and counselors. I've been working in the health and wellness industry for over 18 years, working with youth in schools and the wellness of adults. I have attached further background information, including the 12-month curriculum at a local charter school, as well as my work in Bryan ISD. I would love to help in any way in capacity to apply for this grant and possibly implement it in the future of College Station ISD. And also to consider a future agenda item to give all College Station ISD students and staff the education and health for a lifetime. And thank you.
Thank you. That will bring us to item F, consent agenda. And those items are item G, H2, H3, I3, I4, J1, J2 through 9, J10 through 12, and K3.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hall. We have a second by Dr. Payne. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Will bring us to item H1, receive a report on English language arts and reading instruction in CSISD. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Warwick and board members. As a part of our monthly program report, here this evening, we'll hear from our coordinator of ELAR, Mr. Aaron Hogan, on our English language arts and reading instruction in CSISD. Mr. Hogan.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. Mr. Horak, members of the board, I'm excited to bring to you a report on English language arts and reading instruction in College Station ISD tonight. During this report, I'll give you a brief description of our program, including our course offerings, our staffing. We'll look at our budget, and then we'll look at the major goals and activities of the program. We'll round out the presentation with a look at some performance data. Then we'll look at some of the challenges the program faces currently and end with some of our strengths. Currently, College Station offers English language arts and reading courses in all grade levels. In elementary school, that results in 5 courses being offered. In intermediate school, we have 2 on-level courses offered, as well as 2 advanced courses offered in 5th and 6th grade. Middle school students have the option to choose from either an on-level or an advanced course in both 7th and 8th grade. And in high school, we have the most intricate set of courses. We have 4 on-level courses, 4 advanced courses, 2 advanced placement courses, and 1 dual credit course. In terms of our staffing, we'll start with the folks that we have on campus. We have more than 275 English language arts and reading teachers across our 19 campuses in College Station ISD. In addition, there are 10 full-time K-4 reading interventionists, and on our intermediate and middle school campuses, each of those have an employee who serves as both the interventionist and instructional coach. In terms of teacher leadership roles across CSISD, on our secondary campuses, we have department chair roles on each of our campuses. And in each of our courses, we have CSISD English teachers who are serving as part of our curriculum writing teams. At the district level, you have 1 K-12 English language arts and reading coordinator. That's me. In addition, over the last 2 years, we've had the opportunity to bring Christy Clark on as our Reading Academy's cohort leader. It was advantageous for us to operate some of that locally, and ESSER funds have provided for her to have that position here at the district level. In terms of our budget, we receive monies from the federal, state, and local levels. At the federal level, we receive funds for professional development, and that's really ongoing for us. In addition, this is the funding that we've used for some of our digital resources to support learning loss. At the state level, the instructional materials allotment funds support our instructional materials. That's both what you see in big proclamation presentations to the board and supplemental materials that may support our students and teachers throughout the district. At the local level, we use local funds to support attending conferences and supporting that group of interventionists that was mentioned on the previous slides. So with all those nuts and bolts, we want to cast a vision for like what the goals are that we really want for our kids as they finish out English language arts instruction in College Station ISD. And 5 years ago, when I found myself in this role at the beginning of my time here, we were also doing significant curriculum work. And a group of K-12 English teachers came together to try to articulate what is it that we want our kids to have, not only as they leave K-12 education, but what do we want to work towards as kindergartners, as third graders, as seventh grade, like all throughout the whole system. A 13-year payoff is hard, and so we want to see that payoff each year as our students work towards these goals. The first goal that we have for our students is to be able to critically engage with a range of texts and media created for a variety of purposes and audiences to better understand themselves, others, and the world around them. In addition to that, we want students to be able to appropriately communicate, both receptively and expressively, for a variety of audiences, purposes, and occasions. In addition, we want students to be able to ask meaningful questions, seek answers, and critically reflect on the results. And we want students to be able to compose texts in a variety of forms for a variety of purposes and audiences. There's a lot on an English teacher's plate, and those are the things we want our kids to be able to do, and then we want to focus our instruction on working towards these goals that we have for our kiddos. With those goals in mind, we focused our work on the following activities. First, we complete some reading screening that allows us to really get to know our students, in particular as readers. I think teachers across the whole school district are going to work on getting to know their students. We need to know some specific things about their performance as young readers or advanced readers and everything in between, so that we can design the instruction that's going to be the right next steps for them. That includes some of the state-required assessments that are there and some of the local expectations that we've put in place, both the Map Growth Reading Test and Map Reading Fluency. We don't want to just assess and not have any reflection on what are we learning from this, how can this change what I'm doing tomorrow, and so we do lead teachers through some processes to analyze our data so that we can use what we know about our kids to shape future instruction. I lead an incredible group of educators through the process throughout the year, and with a big chunk of the work taken care of in the summer each year to develop our own CSISD English Language Arts and Reading curriculum. So it's built by our teachers with our kids in mind, not someone else in another place. There's reasons to do that. We've gone a very specific route when it comes to developing our curriculum. And our hope is that armed with that data and a set of goals articulated by our teachers in our curriculum, that our teachers can design effective, engaging instruction. I've listed out the components here because it's easy to roll off the tongue that English teachers have a lot of things that they want to teach. But it includes each of these areas. First, print awareness, then phonological awareness, and working on phonics, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, writing, grammar, spelling, handwriting, and listening and speaking standards that are in there for us. Beyond that, we certainly make sure that our students are ready to perform on the days where we might have state tests that are ready for us. There are 8 state assessments in English Language Arts and Reading, 1 in grades 3 through 8 called STAR Reading, and then our end of course exams in English 1 and English 2. So I want to share a little bit about how we're doing. Before I get into the data, I want to share what I'm going to go over. So we're going to look at data after this, but the high points right here are as follows. The first is that at our earliest ages, CSISD students are developing a solid foundation for future reading success. We'll look at some data from our Map Reading Fluency Assessment that speaks to this in just a moment. We'll follow that by looking into this finding right here that CSISD students continue to outperform their peers across the state and the nation. We see that on STAR exams, but also on our Map Growth reading data. And then finally, we'll note that K-8 students are closing the gap between their projected growth and actual growth that we had seen over the last couple of years. So without further ado, let's look at a little bit of data. Each of these data sources comes from a unique assessment. So what we're seeing here is a set of data from Map Reading Fluency. A lot of map data, and most of the map data that you've seen as a board before compares students to nationally normed groups. Map Reading Fluency is a little bit different. Our youngest learners complete Map Reading Fluency beginning, middle, and end of the year, and it's designed to give teachers a zone of proximal development, that what are they ready to learn next, along a spectrum of skills in the area of phonics and phonological awareness. This lets us see if they have the pieces to decode the words that are there in front of them and play with sounds. For instance, if you ask them to take the word at and add the k sound at the beginning? Can they make that connection? That's cat for me, right? What we see here in this data set is that, that our students are really making significant growth in these two critical areas that are foundational for reading success, not only in kindergarten and first grade, but all the way up through our system. By the time our students finished first grade last year, 90% of our students were working at level 3 or beyond. And if you visit with folks who've spent time on elementary campuses, it's critical as students leave first grade and move into second grade and beyond that they can blend and segment sounds and that they can handle decoding CVC words and words that are increasingly complex as they move forward. The assessments that we have in place show that our teachers are doing a great job and our kids are making great progress. The second set of data here comes from our MAP growth reading assessments. What you see here is K through 8 data that plots out the RIT score for College Station ISD in blue and compares that to the national norms that NWEA has. And just a quick reminder, that RIT score, that's the unit of measure that MAP uses as they work through their assessments. What you see here is really great news. Across 8 of our 9 tested grades, we're already trending above the national norm. And it's worth noting, I'll mention this a couple of times, but the norms that were set here, all that norming happened in 2020. And so that's before any impact of pandemic for anything else may have shifted around for us. NWEA set their norms, and our students in 8 out of 9 grades last spring continued to outdo where MAP would have projected them to be before the last 3 years of instruction there. Our first grade is a group that's just behind in that group of 9 grades, but they're within 1 RIT point of the nation, 169.8 compared to 170.6. It's an area we'll watch closely, but we want to make sure like we're not overreacting and not blinking past that. We've got great folks in place, and even the data that we saw back on this slide right here, and we'll see students continue to put those things together more and more, those individual skills, and are excited to see the progress and we know our students are going to make as they move forward on this particular assessment. All right, there's several bars on this graph. Let me walk you through what we have here. Earlier, Dr. Perry shared the success that we're experiencing on our STAR and of course, exam assessments here in College Station. She showed the data that showed that we are passing at higher rates than the rest of the state. Well, digging a little bit deeper, the state breaks things down in each grade level into the approaches performance indicator, meets, and masters. And I was just interested, and so I dug in and said, and uncovered a couple of things that I want to share here. The biggest is that when you compare those blue bars to the state to the green bars, College Station, every performance indicator at every grade level, we outperform the state. And that's just something worth celebrating, that teachers have, the amount of work, I don't know that I could properly quantify the amount of work that teachers have put in and that students have put in response to what teachers have designed. And I'm not a STAR guy all the time, but that shows a lot of return on investment from our students and our teachers. And so I wanted to be able to share that information with you here tonight. All right, last set of data for you. And when we look at our MAP growth reading data through a little different lens, we can see a measure of our observed growth compared to the projected growth. What you have here at the top, this is fall of 2020 to spring of 2021. So 2 years back, not this school year, not last school year, 2 years back for us. These up here in kind of yellowish, you can see where NWEA has projected that our students would be based on where they would start. And then you see our observed growth from fall to spring. Just given the present circumstances, we saw some performance that dipped with just other factors in play. I'm happy to report when we roll forward to last year's data, fall 21 to spring of 22, shows again that return on investment for the hard work that our teachers are putting in, that our students are putting in response to what our teachers are designing. Our kids are being very successful, and again, I'll reiterate, the norms that are projected here are those pre-pandemic norms. So excited to continue to see growth with a variety of lenses to look kind of what progress has looked like for our students. we do have some challenges. The data that I just showed you is the cohort of all of our students as one group. When you look at some of our, and when you look group by group, you see that some student groups underperform their peers. And that doesn't sit well with me. I see it when I look at map data. I see it when I look at STAR data and, of course, exam data. And it's something that we continue to look at, that we have to continue to ask that question of what can we do to make sure we meet the needs of every student in the room? And what can I do to equip teachers to meet those needs that are there? Another challenge has been time for teacher training. And there's been this, what I can just kind of generalize as a gap in an ability to access teachers. First, due to just the demands of what the last 2-3 years have asked of our teachers, there's just not been a lot of bandwidth and capacity for like that part of our fantastic teachers who typically are very hungry for like, show me the next thing, I want to learn, I'm ready, I'm hungry. It's just, the last couple of years have taken up that energy space. And certainly there's not much I could say that would generalize across all 300 or so teachers. But the center is moving back towards a place of, I'm ready for that training. I'm ready for a little more learning. Help me with this. And that comes in big group conversations sometimes, and in those one-off emails, or just a request to come by and see. I'm slipping into strengths because I just gravitate that direction. But over the last couple of years, it's been harder to reach our teachers than prior to that. In addition, our elementary teachers have completed TEA's House Bill 3 reading academies, which is a 60-hour tax on your time. And the content is really good, but a 60-hour course in addition to day-to-day workload is just hard to work in around the edges. And that has an impact on the ability to soak up other new learning for our teachers. College Station ISD continues to grow, and so one of our challenges is to look at establishing systems to support growth, because that doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon, and wouldn't wish it for us at all. The last thing is that one of our challenges this year in particular is changing STAR and end of course exam expectations. Beginning in the spring of 2023, all of our STAR reading assessments, 3rd through 8th grade, will now include writing. In the past, only our 4th grade, 7th grade, and end of course exams at the state level included writing. So I want to show a little bit about what that's going to look like. Okay. So I've got a question. I'm going to read through the prompt, and I'm interested in what you might think about what grade this prompt might be from. So if we read, this is from released items from the state. It asks students to read the play, The Spelling Test. Then based on the information in the play, write a response to the following. Explain how Herbie's behavior changes and how this is developed by the playwright. Write a well-organized informational essay that uses specific evidence from the play to support your answer. And then it finishes out with a series of reminders. So we've got a 3rd through 8th grade set of STAR reading tests, and then high school English 1 and 2, and of course exam. Anybody want to hazard a guess about where this prompt might land?
6th grade.
Some 6th grade, okay. Some 5th grade. I'm sorry?
Intermediate.
Intermediate, okay. So this is actually a 4th grade prompt. And Jennifer got to teach the term subitize when she was up here, and so my term is going to be juxtaposition, where you put one thing right next to the other, all right? This is the April 2021 prompt that 4th graders completed. Think carefully, there was a quote prior to this, but think students were asked to think carefully about a teacher you know. Write about the best teacher you know, tell who it is, and explain the characteristics that make that person a good teacher. That's a very different task than explain how Herbie's behavior changes and how this is developed by the playwright. That's one of the pieces that teachers are out there working on. I want every one of our students to be able to answer this task, but that's a different ask for us as we move from August to April than anything else we've seen in the past. So there are some small changes coming with STAR. This one is less small for us. I'll show the English 2 prompt. I won't read the whole thing to you, but after reading this article, students are asked to write a letter to their principal in which they would argue who would benefit most from a volunteering program at school, student participants or the members of the community that they could serve. It includes the same reminders and expectations and asks these sophomores to include a counter argument in their draft that they're producing on that day for the state. This makes my English teacher heart happy that like students are being asked to do a meaningful task like this. And it's a different lift than what we've been asked to do in the past for our students. All right, coming down to the end here, let me talk a little bit about some strengths that even go past what we saw earlier with our data. You saw some map data earlier, state data. I can't move through a presentation like this and not highlight the work that's going on in our advanced place courses at the junior and senior level. AP language, that's the course that's typically in, not typically, that's the course that's in our junior English spot in College Station ISD. On that assessment last spring, 85% of CSISD students earned 3s, 4s, and 5s. You can look at the national numbers and across the nation, groups are at 55.5% compared to our 85. AP Literature, that's our senior English advanced placement course, 98% of our students earn 3s, 4s, and 5s compared to just south of 78% nationally. Our kids do a great job, and it's exciting to see them, their data come back so promising through these assessments. Last couple of pieces I can best when I think about our strengths, I can best summarize in terms of momentum that's picking up, that's coming together, and that's moving in a direction that I think is really great for our teachers and our students. The first area where we see some momentum building is in an increased capacity for professional learning. I got ahead of myself earlier and just started to talk about this a little bit. But now with 335 district employees listed as completers instead of currently enrolled in our reading academies, we're able to take advantage of what have we learned and what does that mean for us next. We've got another 114 enrolled this year who are going to complete and bring us up to speed with just a different level of vocabulary that we're able to talk about reading instruction. In addition to completing those requirements that are out there in front of us, we began the year with a successful district-wide professional development. In K4, we focused on resources and curriculum, the things that are there to support our teachers as they continue to do good work for their students. In secondary, just given the new ask that we knew was coming on the state tests, our focus was on writing. And it was on the things that would be great for writing instruction, period. They certainly will help in the environment that students are going to find themselves in the spring. The last piece is just a clarified direction. College Station ISD has been a great place to be an English teacher for a long, long time. And even as I signed up for English classes as a high school student, like I knew the names of of what kind of learning experience you were going to have in those classes, and can attribute a lot of success for myself to the skills that I picked up in those courses. We'd been a place where there was more contained in rich oral tradition than written down on paper. And over the last 2 years, we've been able to capture what we think about literacy instruction in the secondary level and elementary level in some documents that we can put in teachers' hands that help provide us clarity about what we want to be about. They were developed with our teachers. They speak to our beliefs about reading and writing instruction. They highlight practices that we want to increase and practices we might want to decrease across our English language arts classrooms. And they offer suggestions for designing really effective instruction with the resources that we have here in CSISD. It's a real honor and privilege to be able to serve our principals, our teachers, and our students in a role like mine. I'm just so thankful for the folks who I get to serve, and for those they turn around, they serve my kids, they serve the kids of each of the people here and in this room, and everybody across our community. Thanks for the chance to share a little bit about that tonight. And at this time, I'm happy to hear any questions or comments.
If you were to juxtapose,
I like this. It's putting into practice. It's good.
the ideal high school freshman teacher, would it be someone who rhymes with rain? I'm just kidding. Okay. I'm biased. Thanks for sharing. I just want to point out, it's a comment. I'm so glad you mentioned time as a challenge, in particular with ELA. given the amount of grading that they have, anything we can do to give more time back to teachers would be greatly appreciated. So thank you for recognizing that, and anything you guys can do to help. Thank you.
Also, mostly comments and thanks. You know, we are so much more than a test, but to some degree, that's what testing is for and some of the data is for, so we can make those comparisons. We can either compare over time and look for trends, or we can compare across the state. And to be above the state on every single grade and every single level of the test, I mean, we are doing things right here in our school, and that's the evidence that helps demonstrate that. So it's very, very nice to see. And again, just like you said, it is thanks to the 275 English teachers and the other folks out there supporting them. And just the extra little thank you for everybody who did those darn reading academies. Congratulations if you're done. The rest of you you'll get there.
That's good. Anything else?
Aaron, thank you for your leadership and your passion, which was obvious during your presentation tonight. So thank you for what you do for the district.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, that'll bring us to item I1, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an amendment to the existing interlocal agreement with Brazos County Sheriff's Department for 2 additional school resource deputies to serve elementary and intermediate school campuses. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. White and board members. This is, as the agenda language says, just an update to our current ILA with Brazos County Sheriff Department, not Brazoria County. That would be south of Houston. Hang on, that'd be a long ways for them to travel. For Brazos County Sheriff Department, since we're adding 2 additional SRDs, we just need to update that document. So here with more details and hopefully choosing and saying the correct county is Deputy Superintendent Dr. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. As stated, we recently, just last March, updated our 5-year ILA with the Brazos County Sheriff's Department. And this is a brief amendment that you'll find linked to the agenda this evening, specific to the 2 additional positions. These will be designated as rovers, meaning that while they will have a home base with an office, they will be serving our intermediate and elementary campuses district-wide. Specifically, they are going to be there as a presence, a mentor, a problem solver, and to provide positive police-student relations. We will look forward to that additional presence. In fact, the positions were posted and closed just yesterday, and so they are reviewing applications and moving towards the selection and/or training process. And so we're eager to have those folks in place. We anticipate that they will be on the ground in our schools by the end of the fall semester. And so with that, I do recommend that the Board of Trustees approve the amended ILA with the Brazos County.
I move to approve the amendment to the interlocal agreement with the Brazos County Sheriff's Department for the School Resource Deputy Program as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Ben, a second by Mr. Hall. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much. Brings us to item I2, consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding a new administrator contract. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Ms. Horak and board members. We are recommending Ms. Jill Emmons tonight for assistant principal at College Station High School. Jill joined the school district in 2016 as a teacher at Cypress Grove Intermediate, most recently served as MTSS coordinator at Oakwood Intermediate. She has prior teaching experience in Clear Creek ISD and Alvin ISD, which I need to mention is in Brazoria County. So with that, we do have Jill's recommendation before you for consideration. I know Jill's here. I can't, okay, there you are. I'm looking over here for some reason. Very good.
I move to approve hiring Jill Emmons as assistant principal of Carlos Station High School.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Nolan, a second by Ms. McAdams. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Congratulations.
Jill, we set aside 5 minutes for new administrative hires to present to the board. So if you'll head on up to the front. No, I'm kidding. Introduce your family, please. Very good. Welcome aboard and congratulations.
With that, we will move to item K2, consider authorizing the superintendent to enter into negotiations with VLK Architects for the purpose of entering into an agreement for a facility.
We skip K1?
It's okay. Let's finish 2, and we'll go back and get 1. Go ahead, Mr. Horak.
I did. My fault.
We're fine.
We'll jump to K2. No, we'll go back to K1. We're fine.
If you'll decide.
We're not in Brazoria County.
Wow. If you'll just decide, because Mr.
We're going to go K1. We're going to go K1, everyone.
All right, very good.
Consider authorizing
Hogan, we
the
may need some
superintendent to enter
intervention.
into final negotiations and contract with Spall Glass Construction Corporation for the construction manager at risk for Phase 1 of the Career and Technology Center. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Wright, and board members. Here with more details, considering the recommendation and process for CMAR for Phase 1 of CTE Center is our Executive Director of Facilities, Mr. John Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale, Mr. Horak, members of the board. Well, we're one step closer to starting our CTE Center Phase 1 or Ag Barn project. I have a great CM at risk contractor to pitch past you tonight, but first, just a little background. Back in November of 21, the College Station ISD voters passed a bond issue for $78.125 million. And I always want to take the opportunity to say thank you to CSISD voters for that. We do not take that for granted. One project, of course, that was identified and approved by the committee was the CTE Education Center Phase 1, or our Ag Barn project, which is currently being designed by VLK Architects. And I think, Melissa Fleming, raise your hand out there with VLK Architects. She's helping us through that process right now. As we got into our design, we realized right away that the perfect delivery method for this particular project would be CM at risk. So I pitched that past the board back in June of 22. You approved that for me, for us, and so we were able to get a request for proposals process started, RFP process, which we put out in July, advertised as is mandated. And we were able to also identify all the specific evaluation criteria very carefully in that so that everyone would know what they were being evaluated on. So fast forward to August 9th, we took all of our proposals. We had 7 firms put in for it that day, specifically Aggieland Construction, Bartlett General Contractors, Dudley Construction, HCS Incorporated, Jacody Construction, Rava Construction, and Spall Glass Construction Corporation. So then we rounded up our evaluation committee. We had 5 CSISD staff members who were members of that, including Amy Drozd, myself, Kevin Ross, Carmela Schaefer, Renee Ramirez, and Melissa Fleming joined us for that with VLK Architects. So there's 6 of us total. And we met on August 18th to review all of those 7 proposals so that we could shortlist them for interviews. If you're interested, the scoring sheet is attached for your reference. And I would like to say that every number on the sheet for the shortlisting process was discussed by the entire committee and reached consensus before we put any number on there. So eventually it added up to a final scoring tally that we were able to use to shortlist. And we normally either go with 2 or 3 firms for a short list. This time it was close enough between those top 3 that we went ahead and chose 3 for our short list interviews, and those were received by Bartlett General Contractors, Rava, and Spall Glass. They were the 3 who made the top of the scoring sheet. So those are the ones we called in for interviews. At that point, the way we typically do it is we start with a clean slate. Whoever impresses us most during the interview process will be the ones we end up going with, generally. We scheduled and held those interviews on August 25th, 2022. Our Our process is that we use a pre-scripted list. Everyone asks the same questions. We hold those interviews to no more than 1 hour, so it's very, very fair and consistent across the board for all of the firms. And so at the end of the interview session for all of those firms, we circled up the whole evaluation committee, had a good conversation with it, and really didn't take us very long at all to come up with a unanimous ranking of those three. And so the results of that were first place, Spa Glass Construction Corporation, second place, Bartlett General Contractors, and third, Rava Constructors. And I would like to say before I go to the recommendation that Spa Glass just really impressed us with their thorough knowledge, not only of CM at risk work, but with ag related projects. They've got a lot of work in the ag field and had a deep bench for all of that. They're just rock solid across the board. So with that said, I'm very pleased to recommend that the College Station Independent School District Board of Trustees authorize the superintendent to enter into final negotiations and contract with Spa Glass Construction Corporation as the construction manager at risk for the CTE Center Phase 1 project included within the 2021 bond program. And with that, I'd love to answer any questions or comments you might have.
Mr. Hall, this may be a question for you or Mr. Oz, but municipalities are different than independent school districts in that municipalities can give extra points to local vendors, but it's my understanding that by state law, districts cannot give extra points to local vendors. Is that correct?
Mr. Hall, that's exactly my understanding as well. I think the only way that you can even consider local would possibly be in a tiebreaker, which we weren't even close to on this one. But did I get that right, Mrs. Drozd? Okay.
Thank you. And Mr. Horak, I move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hall, a second by Dr. Payne. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Hall. That brings us finally to item K2. Consider authorizing the superintendent to enter into negotiations with VLK Architects for the purpose of entering into an agreement for a facility condition assessment and long-range facility plan. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak and board members. More details on this agenda items, our CFO, Ms. Amy Dross.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. So earlier today at the workshop, you heard an update on the 2021 bond. We're 8 months into spending and already looking forward to a future bond issue. We all knew when we went through the process and with the bond committee, this last one was predominantly deferred maintenance. Really, the only new facility is the CTE Center, and then we had some funds for land. So even during that process, we were talking about the need for those repairs and renovations that had to take place, but that there would be another one at some point in the near future that would include some other district facilities, and again, some more renovations and repairs, deferred maintenance. So in preparation for that, we are in need of a facility condition assessment, and this time also looking for a long-range facility plan that will help us in our preparations for that. And just to kind of give you a brief summary, a facility condition assessment was last updated, we do have one, in 2019. It was updated for changes and preparation and looking for those priorities in the deferred maintenance. So a facility condition assessment would update the one that we have that's been last worked on in 2019, update it for things that have been completed or completed, we can remove from the list. Maybe some things on the list have not, but we need to update them for some additional maintenance, and there could be new items as well. So that update would include physical inspections of all of our facilities for interior, exterior, site elements, systems infrastructure, and finishes. Also look at the estimated cost and using inflation for when we think those things might be ready. So they'll assign a cost to those and a score as well to help prioritize them. The long-range facility plan would then take into account the demographics and enrollment, both current and future, It looks at our current and our future instructional programs, the age and condition of the buildings, the history of our capital improvements, site evaluation, educational specifications, both legal and local specifications there, technical design guidelines, and more. So you can see it's a rather lengthy process and very detailed. The goal is to come up with a 10-year forecast. Of course, it would also be updated as we go along. So normally, architectural firms do this process for school districts. And in those instances, those are chosen based on their qualifications. So in looking at that, VLK Architects has done very good work for College Station ISD in the past. They're very familiar with our facilities. And actually, they did the last facility assessment. So it's our recommendation that VLK is the most qualified architectural firm to complete this service for us and in a timely manner that we need to get started on that next issue. So with that, it's our recommendation that the Board of Trustees authorize the superintendent to enter into negotiations with VLK Architect for the purpose of an agreement for a facility condition assessment and long-range facility plan for the district.
A motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion by Dr. Payne, a second by Mr. Ben. Any further discussion?
Yeah, let me just ask one quick question. Just on that timing, I mean, it sounds like we need to move pretty quickly, but when would you anticipate those two pieces being complete? And then I'm assuming kind of the next step in that with maybe a committee, right?
Right, so they have put together a tentative timeline for us, and of course the facility assessment would, the condition assessment would start immediately. They would begin probably gathering data for the programs and that sort as quickly as really next week. Looking at that going into the early spring, be complete with the long-range facility planning process. So probably January, February would be looking at a completed product.
The timing for completion, Kimberly, would, if we so choose, this be an excellent resource for us to, in mid-late spring, if we so choose, or the board so chooses to pull together another bond planning committee, this is an excellent resource or foundation for that committee to have some very good information to begin to develop possible propositions and items within for our future bond requests. So not only does it give us an assessment of current facilities, as Amy kind of mentioned, it takes into account our demographers report that we'll have updated in November, December. So it kind of projects out also for us a timeline or a framework as to when we will need to begin anticipating additional facilities.
Perfect, thanks.
And I'd just like to add, I don't think there's anything necessarily imminent when it comes to facilities or new facilities, but we would be derelict in our duties as a governing board if we didn't do this on a fairly regular basis. And the mere fact that it's been it'll be close to 4 years since the last one. It's just something we need to do and continue to update it as time goes on.
And you said that this was going to look at all the facilities inside and outside?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so all the athletic facilities for the middle schools and all that kind of stuff is included, okay.
Probably a little less on our last two that were built because of, the newness of those buildings. But yes, they will be looking at every facility in the district.
Anything else? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
That will bring us to item L1, consideration and discussion related to the superintendent evaluation. The executive session deliberations will be held pursuant to personnel matters closed meeting. exception to the Texas Open Meetings Act as set forth in Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. Then we will move to item L2. The board will meet in executive session to discuss the superintendent contract. The executive session deliberations will be held pursuant to the Personnel Matters Closing Meeting exception to the Texas Open Meetings Act as set forth in Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. We will reopen in session at completion of exec session. We will see y'all when we get back.
Jeff was not going to wait any longer on you guys. Setting up for 8:30 in the morning.
All right, that brings us to item M1, consideration, discussion, and possible action related to the superintendent's contract.
I motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion by Dr. Payne. We have a second by Mr. Decker. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. That will bring us to adjournment.